Well, my grandfather on my mother's side died younger, 1943. So in 1943 I was 5 years old. Hardly have any memories except that he was back in a corner, and they lived on near Ford Boulevard, where the grammar school was for a while, where we lived. And so I remember him, and he was a big guy. To us, for us, a big guy. He was 5'11", you know, and I was a little short. And so I remember him to be a guy that I didn't know much at all. My grandmother I loved. My parents, once we moved back out here from Rapid City, joined in something called the United Commercial Travelers, which is people who travel and sold things. You know, not a union, but a social club. And so they had all kinds, and they had a hall downstairs, downtown LA, where they had all kinds of activities, the Christmas parties and, you know, that kind of stuff. And then they had picnics in the summer and stuff like that. So when all of the relatives, see, my mom had living 11 brothers and sisters combined, you know, and so there were, and most of them lived in Southern California. So they all joined in this thing. It became a great big social thing. Well, these kids all had to be able to be taken care of if you're going to go to social things. So Grandma took care of us at my Uncle Paul's house, where she lived in her older ages after my grandpa died. And she died in 53, and he died in 43. So those 10 years was a blast. She was full of love. She's a little short woman, 4'11", and a little wider, but she just was full of love. Everybody loved her, and there wasn't anything feeling but she loved it. She gave hugs and kisses and read Uncle Wiggily stories to us. You can still buy Uncle Wiggily stories, I saw the other day. And we knew every Uncle Wiggily story there was, and we picked our select one when we were going to stay with her that next time.
So you loved having her read to you?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Before I could read, I loved reading.
Did she, you know, play in the yard with you? Did you play any games with her?
No, she was very frail, and she's not a game player, you know.
Did she bake cookies or anything like that?
Don't remember that she did. But she was just full of love. There was more love between her than anybody, all my relatives put together. You know, I had all these aunts and uncles. I have 22 of those, and I'm just one side.
Any other specific memories of?
When we'd go to, we would have family picnics all the time. They call them reunions now, but we just, you know, have summer picnics at a park or at somebody's house, my Uncle Don's house often. And she'd always be there, and everybody wanted to go sit on her lap for a while and get our loves and holds and kisses and go do our things, then get our loves and holds and kisses. And she's a very, very affectionate woman. And I learned to be affectionate because of her, because my dad was zero affectionate. And my mom was mediumly affectionate, but my grandma was just always affectionate. And you went back for that all the time. Hooray, hooray! It reminds me of Cassie. Cassie comes to me for loves and kisses all the time, and hugs, and I love doing it. And anyway, so that was Grandma. Grandma died at 53. And it was a really sad time because it's hard to even think about it now. All that love, and she just, 2 days before Christmas, and we always had our Christmas together. You know, we'd have our own at home, and presents and stuff, and then we would meet with all the family for Christmas Day for dinner and activities. And all the adults would sit around and play cards, except for Grandma. Play cards and drink beer, and they played poker most of the time. And she died. It was a crummy Christmas. The day, 2 days after we had her funeral. And it was my first really negative thing about death. I didn't have any religion. Catholic. Still had that Catholic background. But we went to the funeral. Was in Monterey Park, which is where she lived, with my Uncle Paul. And somebody forced me to kiss her in the casket. And cold grandma was not grandma. It was really painful. But people, I always remember that funeral because there must have been, I don't know, 6 blocks of cars lined up to go from there out to Rose Hills. And almost, well, not all, but the majority of the Erickson, this is the Erickson side of the family, my mother's maiden name. The majority of those people are buried at Rose Hills, where she's buried. And so you could just walk around and see all these different, and we used to go out there often. It used to be something we did, was Memorial Day and stuff like that. We would go out and visit.